It's been a month of Sundays since the prayer vigil started on the third day of operation at the South Florida Detention Center, commonly known by its racist joke nickname, Alligator Alcatraz.
We are not here because we hate anyone. We are here because we love our neighbors.
For 30 consecutive weeks, crowds averaging over 100 people have gathered across from the gates to the site along the tourist-loved Tam-Miami Trail between Miami and Naples, Florida, which is also known as US 41 and, in Miami, Calle Ocho. Facilitated by the Southwest District of Florida of the United Methodist Church broadly and hosted by the Reverend Kyan Wiley from Cypress Lake United Methodist Church in Fort Myers, Sunday's vigil attracted around 180 people, including a member of the Colombian House of Representatives and indigenous rights activist Carmen Felisa Ramirez Boscan. Ramirez Boscan opened her remarks by paying respect to the owners of the land, the Miccosukee.
Del pueblo indígena Guayú del norte de Colombia. I was just paying respect to this traditional land of the owner of this land, the custodian of this land, as I am myself indigenous from Colombia. So we should also pay respect of the custodians of this land.
She told the congregation that due to political persecution, she had to flee her home of Colombia for 17 years.
I had to run away of my country, from my community.
And learn multiple new languages just to survive in her temporary home of Switzerland.
And then in Switzerland, I also had to learn how the discrimination, exclusion, and xenophobia against people like us is all over the world.
Pointing at the gates of the so-called Alligator Alcatraz, she told the audience,
and we are definitely not agree with what is happening with this criminalization of migration and with this terror against people that apparently look different, apparently look like terrorists, apparently look like we are going to keep everything from this country, but we also contribute with love, with culture, with hard work to this society.
Noting that the detention in and of itself is not necessarily a problem, but the way places like the so-called Alligator Alcatraz are being operated.
The real concern isn't simple detention because it's the repeated reports of overcrowding, limited access to lawyers, poor medical care, and barriers that make it hard for people to communicate with attorneys and their families.
Ramirez Boscan continued, focusing on the environment of terror created in the United States for vulnerable immigrant communities.
Because of what we are witnessing here, I have formally asked the government of Colombia to declare a state of emergency to address what we clearly see as humanitarian crisis affecting all Colombians living in this country. I ask Latin American countries all to do exactly the same. Also, I pay respect to the people that have been killed, U.S. national citizens that were persecuted to do exactly the same as you are doing. And I have a deep, deep thanks to you for what you are doing right now. Thanks for stand up and speak up loudly. And I want to say with all of you, ni jaulas, ni miedo, derecho primero. No cages, no fear. Rights come first. Thank you very much.
Ramirez Boscan wasn't the only notable attendee for the 30th weekly Sunday prayer vigil. Speakers included pastor, author, activist, and founder of Vote Common Good, the Reverend Doug Padgett of Minneapolis, Minnesota, who told the congregation how his participation in a prayer vigil across from Alligator Alcatraz in 2025 helped inspire the resistance in Minnesota to federal immigration activity there this winter.
You here 20 weeks ago, I had the privilege of standing here with people outside of Alligator Alcatraz, and that has motivated us in Minnesota. So please know we are in this fight with you and together, and your courage is translating to our courage. Because we have all witnessed something else. We have all witnessed that courage is contagious. When a system in our country relies on fears and secrecy and dehumanization to function, people of good conscience and people of all faith must stand up and say that this is not justice, this is not security, and this is not who we are called to be. And let's be honest, our country is spending billions of dollars to fund this system, not only here, but in centers all across the country. And for what? It accomplishes nothing of lasting value. It will go into the trash heap of shame in this country. And may love, not fear, be the largest, loudest voice in our land. Thank you. Thank you.
Another nationally recognized theologian, author, speaker, activist, and leading figure in the emerging church movement, Brian McLaren, spoke to the congregation gathered for the 30th weekly Sunday prayer vigil as well.
And I just want you to look around this space and appreciate each other. Beautiful faces, beautiful people from many different religious traditions and secular traditions as well. I'd like to offer a different way of thinking about religion than many of us have been invited to think about it or taught to think about it in the past.
McLaren encouraged the attendees to not think about religious silos, that is, Methodists in one silo, Lutherans in another, Muslims in another, and agnostics in still another, etc., and instead think of what he called 3 horizontal lines of connectivity. On his lower level is what he calls religion organized for the wealthy and powerful, including the rich and powerful and the people who are not rich and powerful but decided to hitch their wagon to the horse of the wealthy and powerful.
The wealthy and powerful like this because it gives them camouflage and a sense of moral authority to have religion on their side. Isn't it strange that the wealthy and powerful, those who often own 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 homes, are upset with people who don't have any homes?
Religion organized for self-interest is in the middle level and is just concerned with keeping its own machinery running. Finally, the third or upper level, or stratum, which McLaren says represents the people at the prayer vigil, is religion organizing for the common good, justice and peace. McLaren emphasized that he believes in a God who loves people in all stratums of this taxonomy or classification, but he thanked the congregation for being the group that is moving together for the common good of others.
And we dare to believe that all of life, from the beginning to the end, can be a story of love. Thank you, my friends and my brothers and sisters, for being together in this story of love. Amen.
While special guest speakers such as Ramirez, Boskin, Paget, and McLaren were the highlights of the 30th prayer vigil across from the horribly named Alligator Alcatraz, the Southwest District of Florida of the United Methodist Church, with a little assist from Reverend Tony Fisher of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples, made the congregation that filled the space feel at home. The Reverend Roy Terry of the United Methodist Church in Naples, Florida, sang a song that he wrote about freedom to the congregation.
This is not the end of you. Wipe away those lines you drew, those lines you drew. Freedom in this place. No distinction, no disgrace.
And the superintendent of the Southwest District of Florida of the United Methodist Church, the Reverend Dr. Debbie Allen, provided the congregation with the final words and blessing. Before that final blessing, though, the Reverend Dr. Allen remembered members of her district who had been detained or deported, such as a woman named Astrid, a young mother who was pulled off the streets of Southwest Florida while on her way to pick up her 2 young children, 5 and 2, from school and daycare.
And who never arrived to pick up her children, a daughter and son who were 5 and 2, and who have been left here in the care of friends and neighbors as their mother has been sent away. I stand here for Astrid and for her children and for all of the other people of color in our district who are scared to be able to exercise their ability to live life without fear and to worship and to gather together. This place is evil and injustice and oppression, and I thank you for standing up against it.
She then paraphrased the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
That it is all of our work to do to help bend that towards justice. Because justice is what love looks like out loud and in public.